Hey girl, welcome back to another episode of Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar. And today it's not just me, it's going to be me and Coach Abby. So you got the A team coming at you today. We're excited. We were inspired to discuss a very hot topic of women training for endurance events or training for any kind of big event. And maybe they are also working on muscle building, or they're training for an endurance event and they are working on a calorie deficit to lose fat. So we want to talk with you about this topic. It's hot, and let you know that these are very contradictory things to be doing at the same time, and we're going to share with you why. So let's dive in. Hey, Abby, how's it going, girl?
Hello, hello. Good
Hello,
to be
hello.
here.
I think I have your mic turned up as high as I can here. Is there any way you can maybe turn it up a little tad?
Hmm.
Or maybe move it closer to you or something?
Maybe if I come closer to the
Yeah,
computer.
come closer. Not too close, because like, look at us. We like, if anybody's seeing us on YouTube, it's like I'm over here and you're like right there.
Let
So
me just really quickly.
y'all, we're like real talk here. We're not here trying to be perfect. Obviously, I just got back from the gym and my hair is a mess.
Yes. Well, I didn't get my. Is that better?
Talk to me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Is that any better?
I think it is. I think it is
Okay.
a little better.
Plug in my
All
headphones
right.
and
Let's
then.
rock and roll, girl. What's going on? I don't know when this episode is going to drop, but the topic here is obviously relevant all the time. So, yeah. How are you doing? How's it going? We just wrapped up a challenge and we started a new challenge. We got people in there. We're so excited about these rock stars. It's
Yeah.
funny, the different dynamics of groups. This one's different than the last one. They're all different. It's amazing.
They're all different, yet similar.
Yeah,
Similar
of
struggles,
course.
similar fears, but there it is.
Absolutely.
It's always like the vibe is always different. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It's just always different, which we
Yep.
we love. So we're ready to serve. Yeah, we kind of went back to back on the challenges.
Yeah, we've not done that before.
Mm-mm.
We just turned right around, man. We had one ending and one beginning, like straight up. That was pretty
Yep.
wild. We had never done that before. That's not the way we wanted to do it, but just based on some timelines and things going on, that's how it was. So
Just roll with the punches.
we do, and it's great. This is round 6, and for our listeners, if you've been letting the round 1, round 2, round 3, all these rounds pass you by, and you have on your bucket list that you want to get in on the Kickstart Challenge RTF 6-week challenge, there's going to be there's a link in the show notes to get on a wait list so you can know, you'll be the first to know about the next Kickstart challenge and all the bonuses and things that come with that being an early action taker. So that's what's going on there. And this time we have our people, our awesome rockstar ladies from the challenge, are inside of our RTF community, which I'm
Hmm.
excited about. I'm loving that.
No, I do. I love it too. They get to see, feel, and sense what it's like to be, a full member and get that support from all the other ladies in there, and just yeah, the help and the community of the members that have been there for even just some of the members that haven't been there a long time are still, you know, helping and willing to share things. And so yeah, it's great.
Oh, I know. It is.
Mhm.
I'm loving that. I love and they're excited. You can tell all of our like alumni, all of our veterans in there. You can tell they're excited for the new people in there. So it's fun.
Yeah,
Anything
cool.
new in your world? Anything new you want to share?
Man, I don't know that anything new really.
No?
Just like what month is it? It's like what
Give
day,
us
what
you know what,
month?
I'm going to ask a personal. Give us an update. You haven't talked about your puppy Ella in a while. Give us an update on her because that was the funniest. I mean, this dog, you were taking her to doggy daycare and she's falling asleep in the car like a toddler. It's hilarious.
It's like I don't have children, and I never will, but I can imagine it's like she really is like a little like a child. I mean, we take her to doggy daycare every so often and try to get her socialized, and she's like the most social, like she's in the whole time she's there, the people tell us that like she's in the middle of everything. She loves to play the whole day. So then yeah, I pick her up and she does like the head bob in the seat because she's wiped out for at least like a day and a half after doggy
Wow.
daycare. But man, she has a personality. She's like around a year and a half. For those that don't know, we she's a rescue dog. She's been really the best, one of the best things that's come into my life, really. We just love her to death. She's so great. But she's got such a personality. She plays her hide and seek game every
Yeah.
day. We're like,
So
where does she
funny.
get this stuff from? It's so bizarre. Just you know, she's got an attitude sometimes. She's got
They all have
but
their own
no, it's
personality.
it's pretty crazy. She's just, yeah,
She's
personality is
golden. I
insane.
love those little clips that you put on Instagram about her, the hide and seek and the come
Mhm.
chase me now
Yep, she does
and the
the
chomping.
chomping. The chomping is like, we have no idea. Like,
Chomping is so
it's
funny. It's like a
no.
bark without the bark,
It's the
but
bark
she's
without the
biting.
bark. It's an attention-seeking mechanism
Yeah.
is what and so like I always joke because she loves Brian. She loves my husband. And she loves me too, but she loves
Mm,
Brian.
that's funny.
And she gets very jealous like if I go to hug him
Oh, wow,
or
really?
yes,
What does
yes.
she do?
She wherever she's at, she, like, bolts to us, and she'll jump up because
Oh,
she's
she
gotta
wants
be
the
in the middle.
attention.
Yes,
Okay.
she's gotta be in the middle of it. It's hilarious. I mean, she
That is
is
really funny.
she's
Awesome.
she's hilarious. Yeah, she's great. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like, it's nothing new. We're in Florida, it's hot.
It's still
We're
hot.
we
We're
are
waiting for
getting
fall.
we're waiting for fall just like you are in Texas.
Yeah, it's hot today for sure.
Yeah. Well, you got 2 dogs now.
Well, one of them is Brookie's. That's her dog. We have to keep that clear.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, he's something else too. That's a whole nother It's a no. It's a whole nother thing. That dog is something else. Yeah, but he's fine. He's a good dog. He's really sweet. He's really lovable, but he has no manners in terms of like if you're in his way and he's running by, he's gonna knock you down.
Oh,
Like he's
jeez.
like I was in the hallway and he ran past. He really not like he's just so huge and bulky.
Mhm.
Just bogarted me in the hallway. I'm like up against the wall. Like, he does that to Fiji too. It's like so
Oh,
rude. Like, so he
goodness.
does not know his body is
Own strength.
coming through. He doesn't
Right.
know. He's no spatial orientation. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about all this fun stuff that we have to talk about. This is really I call it a hot topic because we know that like most women, I say most women who are active and love to work out like to sign up for things, events and they like to especially I mean and I used to do these things too, so it's not like I'm not I I understand this. I remember, before I didn't truly understand energy balance and and in my mind, the thought was, I'm going to do more. And I'm checking, is my running getting faster? And, oh, I need to run at this pace, that kind of stuff. There was all of that going on. The competitive nature of wanting to be able to run at a certain pace for a certain amount of time and the competitiveness of other women and events, whether it be a marathon, a half marathon, a triathlon. So I've definitely been a part of that world, but and I've done a couple of marathons for our listeners who don't know. Before I had kids, did 2 marathons, several little mini triathlons, but when I got serious about my fitness and understanding what was going on because I got serious about strength training. And I love running. And, there was a point in time, especially on social media, that I just stopped sharing my pace and my stats on my iPhone or whatever fitness tracker I had because I realized that it didn't matter. Like, why are we even doing that? For me, I didn't need it. Like, for me, it was like, that's like seeking, attention or like significance or something about those stats were are meaningful to some people. And it's great for yourself and, you're competing or whatever, but for me, I decided I didn't wanna do that anymore because I didn't want other women comparing their fitness level or their performance level with mine, and it
Mhm.
had nothing to do with competitiveness as much as it had to do with I wanted to encourage and support, and I don't want anybody to ever feel like their identity is wrapped up in those numbers, those stats. So I stopped doing that a long time ago, but when it comes to the strength training, like strength training, and I got really dialed in with my body composition and then running, still running, right? And I was at the time wondering, this was before I had an understanding of what's going on with muscle mass, lean body mass, and in our endurance things. And I was worried that if I did too much cardio, it was going to impact my muscle mass. I was going to lose muscle mass, or it was going to cause me to not be able to build muscle. I was all wigged out. So, this is a very important topic that women need to understand for their bodies, especially over the age of 40 as we're aging. We really have to be dialed in and understand what's happening with our energy balance. So, for me, I realized that we only have so much energy. I mean, we
Mhm.
can't even pump our body enough energy in a 24-hour period of time to be doing building muscle and an endurance thing, even week to week. Like, that energy balance science thing. Um, there's limitations. There's limitations, and we have to understand our own personal limitations in terms of that. And it's not, when I say limitations, I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just understanding, like, just realistically. But yeah, I also didn't want to beat my joints up with miles and miles of running because I want to be able to have healthy joints as I
Mhm.
age. And of course, building muscle on my body and on my frame is going to help those joints. But I didn't need all of that running that I think in the past I thought I needed to have to stay lean.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
so I cut way back on running. And I say way back, like I typically don't run more than 5 or 6, and I haven't been running lately, but whenever I was running on a regular basis, a couple of weeks, couple of times, 2, 3 times a week, I was only running 5 or 6 miles a day. I say only because some women would be like, "That's a lot." But for me, it wasn't a lot because I used to easily run 8 to 10 on just a regular run. So, but wanting to maintain my muscle mass, I'm aging, I needed to take all these things into consideration. And so that's kind of what's inspiring this conversation, is to see, because here we are in the fall and we're seeing more women are signing up for these events because it's a great time of year. The weather's cooling off, and there's 5Ks, there's 6Ks, there's marathons that are going to be coming up in November that are real popular, and it's great, right? You want to train for, and I'm not saying like don't do it, but if you're going to do it, we want to share with you some things to consider. If you are going to do it, we want you to do it wisely and strategically. So that's my story. And whenever I
Mhm.
do train for something, I have a different outlook on it and a different strategy these days than I did in the past. So
Mhm. Yeah, really what it boils down to is a lot of women, they want everything to happen all at the same time. Oh, I'm training for a marathon and I want to build muscle too. Oh, and I want to focus on fat loss. Oh, and it's like whatever you do, you have to prioritize one thing. And it doesn't mean like if you're training for an endurance event that you can't strength train, just understand that the priority, that these having these goals, like it's the chasing rabbits, right? You try to chase three rabbits, you're not getting one. So
right,
what really is your main focus? Because the problem with saying something like, oh, I'm training for a marathon. Oh, and I'm focused on building muscle. Well, those two things are conflicting.
right,
Everything about from the calorie demands of both to the conflicting energy systems. And we can like go a little bit more in depth of the recovery time, the hormonal interference, or,
mm-hmm,
we're using different things. So we can't, focus on both of those things at the same time and expect to be, I guess, super successful in either. Like what is the main focus? And then you're also talking about performance trade-offs. because if you're doing all this running for an endurance event, you're lifting and gym time and your lifting is going to suffer a little bit because you're not going to be as strong because you're focused on all this cardio output. So I think you have to get clear on what do you want right now. What if like, by all means, if you want to do an endurance sport, amazing, but just manage your expectations that you're probably not going to be building muscle if in the endurance sport is the top thing, and vice versa. If you're focused on building muscle or something like a powerlifting competition where it is about pure strength, or you just really want to put some more muscle on your body for for whatever that goal is like, you can't be focused, just for instance, like, let's talk about the conflicting energy systems in both. Endurance is going to focus on aerobic activity and that capacity. Muscle building is going to involve anaerobic training and, you know, shorter intense bursts. So how can we focus on both of those things at the same time and it be effective? It's going to compromise one or the other. Just like you talked about the calorie demands.
Yeah.
um, like, I think a lot of women want to do all these things and they want fat loss too.
Yeah.
And like you were saying with your example, and you're running, like, especially for endurance, like, it is very, very difficult to be in a calorie deficit and perform well for your endurance training. Am I
Yeah.
right? Correct?
For me, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, when I'm like, I know that whenever I'm training for like the triathlon event or something like that, that's not a time to, if I'm really training to like improve my performance, it's not a time to be in a calorie deficit. It's just
Correct.
not. Like, you can't expect to be
Hmm.
optimally performing when you're in a calorie. This is what it comes down to: energy. It comes down to
Yes.
understanding energy balance, and we don't have unlimited resources of energy in our body. And so
Hmm.
there's going to be, you have to, decide, like, I'm not going to be in a calorie deficit if I'm training for a triathlon. Like, that's just silly.
Hmm. Right.
Unless I'm going to back off on my training and I'm just going to do it just to have activity. Like, if that makes
Hmm.
sense, like, instead of trying to get better and improve, I'm choosing to be in a calorie deficit, then the performance aspect of that activity, we've got to manage our expectations on that.
Hmm.
So if I'm training for that endurance event, which, because with the triathlon, you have swimming, biking, and running, and they're all three cardio. They're all cardio. When I'm doing that, I also have to understand that is taking a certain amount of energy, and I can't expect, because I'm training for that. I don't expect. It's very obvious when I'm in the gym strength training. I don't expect the same amount of performance and intensity in my strength training at the gym. I'm not trying to get a PR at the gym during this time
Correct.
while I'm training for my triathlon. I'm simply I'm showing up to my training in the gym, but I'm basically in maintenance, and I am doing those things. Yes, like, I'm putting work in, but I'm not there trying to see, can I lift heavier? Can I lift
Hmm.
harder? I'm not trying to get a PR in the gym while I'm training for a triathlon.
Right.
Yeah, because we only have so much energy in a
Hmm.
given amount of time. So we've got it, like you said, you've got to decide what your focus is going to be, because you're not able to focus on multiple things like calorie deficit, doing an event, building muscle, all of these things. You just, this is why women need to understand this, so they can just relax, chill out, and focus on one thing if that's
Hmm.
their focus.
Hmm.
Not saying don't do them, but just focus on that one thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, just because you're if building muscle is your main goal, then your cardiovascular, like, let's do it for heart health, but let's not, we've got to be careful with it too, because to build muscle we need ample recovery time. We need, you need to make sure that you're eating potentially slight surplus, but you have to be training hard and heavy, and that doesn't leave room for, same thing with endurance training. Like, endurance training is going to demand a lot on the joints, the tendons, the muscles, and it requires adequate recovery. And then building muscle and strength training also needs recovery time to allow the muscles to repair and grow. So if you're trying to do both of these things at the same time, like how it's going to leave inadequate time for recovery for either thing, and then you're going to increase your risk of injury, or overtraining, trying to balance and making both a priority when it's nearly impossible. We have to be considerate, but it doesn't mean that we stop. If you're doing endurance, it doesn't mean you stop strength training. Like, let's just be clear. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you stop, doing these things. You just have to manage your expectation and realize you can't do it all. And I have, one-to-one clients who want to do endurance events, and they're like, well, and I also want to lose fat now, or fat too. And I'm like, you've got to think about that, those two things, it's going to be very, very difficult to manage. So what is more, I always ask myself, what's more important right now?
Yeah. What's more important?
What's the focus? What do I need to do and make that the priority?
Yeah.
Um, and doesn't, once I'm whatever finished or done with that, then something else I can focus on, and something else is always going to have to take a little bit of a back seat,
Right. You
just
can't prioritize everything or it's not a priority.
right,
That's what
exactly.
priority means.
So I think women, they you they well, it's just like, you want to, we get we hear this a lot, and they want to do all the things at once. And it's like, no, go all in one thing, do that well. And whatever, we're not here to tell you what your priority is. You have to decide that, but
Yeah.
you just have to manage the expectation that you can't have 17 goals at once and expect to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's with anything in life, not even
Yeah.
just fitness.
Yeah.
Um,
But so let me just, I'm just trying to, I want to make this, I mean, I think we're making it pretty simple, but I just
mhm,
want to give kind of an example. If I was going into the gym while I'm training for some kind of an endurance event, and oh, did you hear that?
no.
I haven't had lunch.
Oh, stomach
My
growling.
stomach. Oh my gosh. Um, but if I went in the gym and I am putting out, right, and I like say I get a really hard leg day, okay? Not the kind of leg day where like you can't sit down the next day, not can't sit down and get up off the toilet, not that kind of leg day, but just you're waking up the next morning and your body is feeling, you feel it, you feel a little slight soreness because you worked a little harder for your leg day, and then you so right now you've got sore muscles. Your muscles need recovery and repair. They don't need you to go out and do a hard run or a hard cycling, spinning, whatever. They need rest and recovery. So what happens is that's the conflict. Now you're going to constantly, you're not going to be building muscle because your muscle,
No,
it's not going to be able to build. Muscle doesn't build when you're just lifting weights in the gym. It happens when you rest and
correct.
let those muscles rest and repair and then build. But it's not going to happen if you're constantly, um, you know, putting this demand on them for endurance running even when they're sore. And I'm speaking from experience because
Hmm.
I know this very well, and I did this for a long time, just guilty as charged, that I would do leg day and the next day was my running day, and I'd go out and run anyway, even though my legs were sore. So I wasn't doing myself any favors there. I'm just saying, like, I get it, I know, but we have to be smart. And what's interesting is that when we get smart and strategic about it is when we actually get results. The
Hmm.
results of building muscle or getting stronger, or the results of being faster in that endurance activity because you're not showing up all sore from lifting hard the day
Hmm.
before. It's kind of just it's like common sense, but we don't think about it. We just don't put a lot of thought into it. We have to have adequate recovery because those
Hmm.
muscles are broke down and they're fatigued. So yeah, I
Right.
just wanted to, yeah, bring that to the attention. So um, we also need to talk about, and you just mentioned this a minute ago, Abby, is this hormonal considerations. We are
Hmm.
not in our 20s where we can bounce back like we used to be. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, you're old and you're all washed up. I'm not saying
Right.
that. I'm just saying like we have to consider this. We're not like we used to. Our bodies are aging. We can age, stronger, healthier than most women if we're focusing on the strategies to do that. But we have to understand that as women aging, we don't have the same. We've got hormonal things happening, estrogen loss, testosterone is decreasing, which makes muscle retention and recovery more difficult. So we've got to take these things into consideration. And endurance training can really elevate, and we're not going to get into the details, but it can elevate the cortisol levels, which is stress
Yeah.
on your body, and that's going to impair the muscle building when you're trying to do strength training as well. So there's just so much. And then compound that with women who don't go to sleep, don't get enough optimal sleep.
Right.
Like there's so many factors involved, but yeah, the hormonal thing is a big deal. And we
Mhm.
do need to remember that we're not getting younger. We're not like we can't bounce back like we used to, but we are going to have a much more effective road of enjoying fitness and optimizing what our bodies can do when we pay attention to this stuff and give our bodies the rest and recovery and calories that it needs, which probably is the next segue of important things to discuss. Unless you had something else on that.
No, I think we pretty much covered,
Yeah.
there's
Have
so many conflicting things when you think you're going to do an endurance sport and you're trying to build muscle at the same time. So just be very, very cautious in how you think about that, and whatever your priority is, make that the priority.
yeah. And like be at peace with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially, women who want to do an event, but they feel like, yeah, but I got to lose fat. Okay, just you got to know that doing that event that's not the road to fat loss. And
No.
it's not bad. Do the event because you want to enjoy it. Maybe you do want to push your limits and see how fast you can run that 5K or whatever, but understand that the fat loss isn't happening because of the event or the training for the
Right.
event. Like that's a really poor reason to train for an event.
Mm-hmm.
um, your fat loss, the focus in fat loss needs to be your nutrition, number one.
Correct.
So we're going to talk about that next, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't have
So
this planned out. We're just like, this is a great topic we want to discuss.
yeah, well, we want to talk. We're going to talk about being in a calorie deficit and trying to also do an endurance event. Correct?
Yeah. Or just, again, this is going to be prioritizing.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give an example of my own personal example, I guess. So if, um, like whenever I do, sometimes we want to call it a mini cut, whatever, I'm in a calorie deficit. And for mini cut, by the way, for anybody listening who doesn't know what that means, it's basically when you are in a calorie deficit with the a goal of shedding fat and you're not going to stay in that calorie deficit for a long time. That's called a mini cut, like short period of time. You're in and you're out. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
30 days, maybe it's 5 weeks, but it's not long. It's just getting in and out. And that's for somebody who is relatively lean already. They're not obese, they're not overweight, they're not at an unhealthy
Mm-hmm.
weight. It's somebody who's already kind of lean and they just want to kind of, get a little extra cut. That's why we call it mini cut, a little
Yep.
more definition. So when somebody that is that body composition, relatively lean, and they're doing a mini cut, and I guess I'm speaking for myself because I'm basically pretty lean. But when I do a cut, that's not the time. I cannot expect that I'm going to have the same amount of energy to bring to my workouts, to bring to my activities in terms of like my cycling, my strength training, uh, baby jogging, whatever. I'm not going to have the same, and I'm not going to put out as much because I'm in a calorie deficit, which the words speak for themselves. It's a calorie deficiency. You're not optimizing your calories, so you're not going to have as much energy to bring to those workouts. So that's important to understand when women are thinking, well, I'm going to build muscle and I'm going to get stronger, but I'm in a calorie deficit. um, that's another topic too, because some women, yes, you can build muscle and you can shed fat at the same time, but it's typically somebody who is in their beginning stages of strength training and they have a significant amount of excess storage of fat on their body. So
Mhm.
it can get really complicated. And this is why we're coaches. We want to help
Correct.
you understand this kind of stuff. So what I'm saying for myself is that when I'm in a calorie deficit, that's not the time for me to be pushing myself. I don't have the energy. I'm not going to
Mhm.
expect to show up in the gym with the same energy. If I'm typically able to, and on my normal, like I'm in my regimen and the routine is great and I'm in my strength training, and let's say I can pop off 10 chin-ups with ease. When I'm in a calorie deficit, I cannot expect that because I'm
Mhm.
not going to have the same amount of energy on board.
Right.
That's the point I wanted to make.
Yeah. And same that, like I said, I've ran into this a few instances as of recent with a couple clients who want to do the endurance stuff, but also want to focus on fat loss. And I have told them that the energy demands are completely different, and so you got to understand that when you're consuming fewer calories than your body needs, this is going to leave you underfueled for your endurance sessions. And that's not going to, improve that specific goal or thing that you want to do. Also, you're going to look at when we're in a deficit, our performance is going to get a little decreased a little bit. So that's something to think about too if you're trying to do half marathon, marathon, triathlon, and be in a calorie deficit, is you're not going to get the fuel that you need to actually perform at your best with those runs. And then um, you're you're gonna have that fatigue, and you're not gonna get enough recovery. And so periodization of your goals once again is what do you really want to focus on right now, and do that. And do the
Yeah.
things that you need to do to make that goal a reality. And once so just something to think about, because I do run into that a lot as a coach, where like you said, these runs and everything are coming up, but women also want to lose fat. And I just think that you have to understand, ladies, that those goals aren't going to coincide very well for you. And my clients have seen that. They've really seen that. But also, not to mention how adherence is very difficult when you're outputting a lot of energy for your endurance stuff. You
Yeah.
are more hungry.
Right.
And so, and you should be, because your body is burning more calories. It's putting out a lot of energy. It wants more to recover. So the fact that you're trying to be in a deficit when your body's like begging you to give me give me fuel and
Yeah.
recovery, you're gonna break.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna break physically, you're gonna break mentally. It's not gonna be fun to try to do you know attempt and try to do those two things at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, that makes me want to bring up this. It's relevant. The importance of understanding why this is why it's so important to track calories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know, we don't want to say, like, we're not here to say like you need to track calories for the rest of your life. That's not
No.
that. But if you are an endurance athlete, we're talking about athleticism. We want to be strong, fit. We want to have athletic bodies. This is what we want, right? So, in order to do that, it's important to have a very good grasp of calorie in, out, that energy balance. And when you understand what your own body needs just to maintain your current level of body composition, and when I say that, it's constantly sort of changing, because there are phases in life when you're not going to be hitting the gym as often. There might be some crisis, some things you're taking care of in life.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be in your quote unquote fighting weight, and you're not going to be as lean. Or there's times when you are. But the idea of understanding how to track your calories, this to me, this is like so powerful. The knowledge you have when like, for example, if you know that basically when you're in your normal routine, and you're not trying to lose fat, trying to gain muscle, you're just in your normal day. And let's just say that your body typically will burn your TDEE. I did a podcast episode on all that. Your total energy expenditure for the day is 2000 daily. Then that's all, right? Your basal metabolic rate, all of your activity and your workouts. And let's say normally you're putting out about 2000. If you know this information, And the only way to know this for your own body is to track your calories accurately, consistently for a good long period of time, tracking your weight, tracking your pictures, your measurements. I know that sounds exhausting, but it's like the school of body composition, girl. Learn your body, because when you
Mhm.
learn this, you are free to do all kinds of amazing things when it comes to your athleticism, the events you want to get and do, and all the things you want your body to do, and to maintain a certain physique or not maintain a certain physique, whatever is, for your own personal goals. I find it very empowering. I am not tracking my calories all the time, but I will absolutely track my calories if I am training for something, for sure, because I want to make sure I am my body is well nourished. Because when our body is not well nourished, it's going to nursey Anna coming out. When your body is not well nourished, your hormones are going to be off balance. You're going to get sick. You're not going to be feeling good, and that can also potentially create illnesses in your body that would not have happened if you were fueling and giving your body the nutrients that it needs. I'm going to make sure when I'm training, especially for some kind of an event, I hope that you do this too, listening, that you are tracking your calories and tracking your protein. And if you aren't, then you really don't know. And I'm not saying like look at your fitness tracker and see, oh, I burned this many calories, I need to replace that. That's not what I'm talking about. We need to make that very clear. Do not look at your fitness tracker.
Right.
But you want to make sure that you're getting at least the amount of calories that your body typically would eat, because you need the energy for repair, recovery, and you need the protein to maintain that muscle.
Yep.
Wow, I'm just going to go on and on, Abby. You just stop me. Stop.
I don't know that I have anything to add. It's important to know your body and learn, and that's why it's so important to be spending a season of really paying attention and tracking. And because I live in a world now where I don't have to do that very often
Yeah.
only because I spent such a long period of time doing it and learning.
Yeah.
So when you do that and you do it frequently and you do it well and you do it correct and you do it accurate, that's when you get freedom later, in my opinion.
Right.
That's when you get you learn and you don't you just know
Right.
and you feel it. So that's yeah, that goes
Yeah,
I
because
guess is what I would say.
how can you really expect to manage your body composition if you've never tracked calories for your body?
Right.
Really, there's no way you would know. Nobody would know. If you've never spent a period of time tracking food, period, at all, tracking calories at all, then you don't even know what foods, what calorie value they have.
Right.
And also, when we get off of our routine, like I'm speaking for myself, when we have times, whether it be weeks off of a routine because of traveling, because of work, because of family, because of vacation, and you have weeks on end where when you're not in your routine, it's out of
Mhm.
control. I'm not saying in a bad way, but you don't have, it's like it's a mystery. I have no idea. Perfect example. I was gone for over a week, West Virginia. Of course, I'm not tracking. I'm on family
Right.
vacation. I'm eating the gravy sausage with pancakes every day. And just like it takes time to shed fat, it's also going to creep up on you over time if you're out of routine for a long period of time.
Mhm.
So I knew I was way out of routine with my calories and my energy input output during that time. And so, but I accepted it, and I knew, but this is a lifestyle. So no, we don't need to, but I'm just trying to say, like, the point is, for our listeners, if you've never tracked your calories, I really want to encourage you to do that. And we'll put the our little cheat sheet here in the show notes, Chrissy, please, if you don't mind doing that for us. Um, yeah, like this is important. You want a fat loss, then focus on your nutrition.
Mhm.
But don't be thinking to do calorie deficit and do all these events, endurance, and build muscle. That's the whole point here.
Yeah.
What's the point here?
Yeah. I yeah. Don't chase 4 rabbits.
You'll go home hungry.
Exactly.
You can't sit what was the other one? The other one is like, you can't ride 2 horses with 1 butt. It's
Yeah, well, yeah, that's actually a very true statement.
it is.
Mhm.
And, we're all kinda guilty of that at some point in time, trying to do too many different things, and then nothing really gets done very
Mhm.
well. Same
Oh, yeah. yeah.
concept. Well, I don't
Well,
know if there's anything else to add. I think we've made the point. Look, just what is your focus for that season, for
and
that
what needs to
next
happen to make it,
and what's
to
required?
accomplish it, yeah.
Yeah, what is required for that?
Mhm.
So, that's all I got.
Yeah,
This has been a
I
fun
think
conversation.
I think
I
we've
think it
got
would
it
be
across.
yeah, yeah. What are you training for, Abby? You got anything coming up?
Just, my 40s, man, I
You're
don't.
training for your four I know, it's
Yeah, I
funny, people come up to me and ask me what I'm training for when they see me in the gym. I'm just training to be healthy and strong and fit. I'm not honestly.
honestly, what I'm training for now, I, like, feel like for the first time, I don't know, in my life, maybe, I really am just focused on my health.
Yeah,
And so that
absolutely.
I don't have like I don't have a specific strength goal. I don't have anything I'm really training for. I think for literally the first time in my life, I really am focused on health and making sure that I'm doing all the things I need to do to feel good. Like I'm training to feel good right now currently,
Yeah,
at this current state of, making, heart health has been is more important to me now more than ever, and really incorporating like zone 2 cardio. Like
yeah,
there was many years that was not a focus. Just consistently strength training and doing my best there. And so yeah, I'm not I just I'm really focused. I know this sounds very odd coming from a fitness fitness coach, but
I
I've
don't think
always
so.
trained for aesthetics. I've always trained for
Yeah,
strength. Um,
yeah.
I've always trained for looking a certain way, and but I've never really put like I've always nutritionally been doing well, but it wasn't like, oh, my main focus is to get my cholesterol down, or my main focus is to, really, it really is. I am training for my health right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I
Yeah.
couldn't agree with you more, especially since there's no doubt, like this past year, menopause hit me,
Mhm.
like finally.
Mhm.
For the last since my whole transformation, I've been thinking, when's menopause going to hit me? I'm not going to talk about
Mhm.
menopause. I'm not talking about that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until it gets here and then I'll talk about it. Well, girl, I'm talking about it now.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, getting our labs, getting full panel comprehensive
Yeah.
labs. By the way, that is in the show notes. I've been telling people outside, if you're a member of RTF, you get the best deal with Merrick Health.
Mhm.
RTF and Merrick Health now partnered for comprehensive blood work. But you can also do that. You can also do that if you are not man or woman. Doesn't matter. You
Mhm.
can do that. Go to rockthatfitness.com, go to the menu, go to Merrick Health. It's a great resource to get your full
Mhm.
blood panel done and talk to a health coach and all that kind of stuff if you don't have that on the outside. But yeah, we're both doing that.
Yeah.
I got my follow up coming up. I'm
Mhm.
waiting for I'm going to be going and getting my follow up labs now to see. And this is what I'm excited about, like you. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, these important biomarkers. What do my labs look like right now? This is important to me. I'm 53. I want to make sure that I'm optimizing all these things,
Yeah. And I
you
will
know.
tell you, listeners, I was I had never really, oh, I don't need to do that, and I've had a lot of issues with fatigue and joint pain. Like and holy crap, like to really get the ins and outs of what's going on was really eye-opening to me. And there was some markers on there and I was like, what? You got, like, I would have never known. And so now
Yeah.
it's like, because I have that information, I can now move forward and do something about it, because we don't have to accept the way we feel. Like,
Yeah,
we
we
don't.
don't.
We can
Mm-mm.
you can either you can, but I went through Merrick. I've never had that kind of extensive testing done before, and it was very eye-opening and shocking to me, and stuff that I'm like, "Holy crap, I need to take care of." this.
Yeah,
You
people don't
know?
know what's going on the inside.
No.
They try to guess. They try to
Right.
guess because of their
Yeah.
symptoms. We got to stop guessing when we've got
Gotta
the
stop
tools to find out
guessing.
exactly what's happening inside the body.
Mm.
And these biomarkers, we're talking heart, kidney, liver,
Mhm.
brain function, all of these things,
Yeah.
everything, your blood, your cardiovascular system,
Yeah.
all of this stuff. I'm excited to go find out like how now that I've been doing hormone replacement therapy, I'm excited to see what my labs look like now.
Yeah,
And
absolutely, I
maybe
can't wait
maybe
for
we'll
that.
do an episode on that later on once you start learning
Yeah,
some more
once I
stuff
start
about
doing
yours.
doing some more about my results
Yeah.
and whatnot. So yeah, I'm focused solely on health right now. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. To
But
me,
it
that's
doesn't,
it's important.
it's not that I sort of change some of the things I'm doing, but at the same time I still keep doing the things that I've always done. It's
Yeah.
just for me it's a different thought process and
Right.
just tweaking some things and um so yeah, that's truly what I'm what I'm focused on. Uh-huh.
That's it. Me too. I want to be like strong, healthy, and fit for as long as I
Mhm.
can. Well,
Yeah.
this has been fun, Abby. Thank you. It's been a
Yes.
minute since we've been on an episode together, so it's good to have you here today
Yeah,
with us.
of course.
Anything coming up for RTF? We did our, like I said, our last RTF Kickstart challenge. If you want to get on the next one, show notes, we're going to have the link for the next Kickstart challenge. Um, I don't know. I don't know what else is coming up. There might be something. So be on the lookout. And we're always here for you. You can reach out to Coach Abby. By the way,
Mhm.
Coach Abby does one on one coaching. So
Yep.
you don't have to be an RTF member to go put an application in and see if
Yeah.
it's a good fit if you're
We
interested in one on one
accept,
coaching.
you know, I do have some spots open, so it is one-to-one coaching is something that's open fairly frequently, you know, like the challenges and membership we don't open very often, but one-to-one coaching, you know, you can always fill out an application and start right away if you want. If I have
Yeah.
spots, that
And
is,
this
which
is
I do.
like this is one of the best times. I mean, I think there's always
As
the
we
best
lead
time is
into the
always the best time. Going
holidays,
into the
like
holidays, like
this.
you want to end up in
Mhm.
2025 feeling better than you've ever felt after the new year,
Yep.
after the holidays. And one-on-one coaching is by far like high level,
Mhm.
high ticket, best thing to do for yourself. Like give
Yep.
yourself the gold, get some one-on-one coaching. And Coach
That's
Abby,
right.
oh man, I can't back you up enough, girl. You do a lot. You're amazing.
Thank
I
you. Mhm.
trust you with all of our clients. Like just the other day, watching you and interacting with people, I'm like, man, I got the best co-coach in RTF. I feel so, I would hand it over to you all. And that's saying a lot.
Well, you know, it's a team effort as,
Yeah,
you
for
know, it
sure.
really is. So,
All right. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and being with us on this episode. Please leave us a comment, reach out to us if you have any questions, rating reviews, 5 stars, 5 stars, rock stars. Give us a
five
review here
stars.
and a comment or so. That would be great. So keep on rocking, stay strong, and
Stay
rock on.
strong.